Okay, so now try to understand what could be the logic about this. The first freight is included. Okay, why? What is the reason? They are trying to say from the depot the sale has happened. So the law is trying to say up to this stage, whatever expenses are incurred, we want to levy excise duty on it. Once the sale has happened here, thereafter if any other expenditure is incurred like freight, insurance, etc., after the sale has taken place, there is no excise duty on it. So they don't want to collect excise duty on 10 rupees because sale got completed at this stage. After this, whatever charges are taken, there is no excise duty on it. But VAT is not like this. You know what VAT is telling? VAT is telling that VAT is attracted on the final price which the customer is paying. So in case of VAT, we are supposed to include freight. In case of CST, we will be learning that freight should be included, but however some exceptions are there. But excise law is little kind to you. They are saying, okay, we don't want excise duty on freight because freight does not add value to the good manufactured. The goods value will stop here up to this stage. We will take excise duty, after that we don't want to take. Each law is different. We can't help it. We have to break our head and see what each law says. Okay. So right, one more thing, last one. Transit insurance. Transit insurance. Write in brackets. It is not to be included. It is not to be included if shown separately in the invoice. It is not to be included if shown separately in the invoice. Again, what is the logic? Up to this stage, include. After this stage, do not include. So once the sale has happened, we should also provide some transit insurance to the buyer. Road transport insurance. So with respect to insurance, there is no excise duty on it. But what condition they are putting? Please show it separately in the invoice. Do not raise inclusive bill. Please tell us like this, 500 plus 5 plus 10, another 50 rupees for insurance. Then there is no excise duty on it. But if you don't show it separately, if you are raising a consolidated bill, then in that case excise duty is attracted on everything. Only when you show it separately, there is no excise duty on it. Now if you carefully observe, why did we say the above items are inclusion? See the approach, what did the law tell us? Include design, include packing, include servicing, installation, inspection, all that. The theme is what? All those expenses are incurred up to which stage? Up to the stage of sale. Without this, sale is not possible. Therefore, include. But once the sale is over, ancillary thing like freight and insurance, there is no inclusion, excluded. This is what they are saying. Write one example. Warranty is after sale, but it is a condition for buying the good. No, if you want to buy, let's say you're buying a car, they say 2 years warranty, 5 years warranty. The price, invoice price that you pay is inclusive of that warranty charges. It's a condition for sale. Therefore, first language we have written, transaction value means the price paid or payable when sold and includes any amount that the buyer is liable to pay in connection with sale. So you don't have a choice. Warranty is compulsory for you. You have to take it. So in connection with sale, if you pay any amount, then it is part of it. But freight and insurance, you have a choice. You can tell to the seller, I will arrange my own transport. You can tell to the seller, I don't want insurance. So this is your choice. Okay, so let's write an example. Price of machine, excluding taxes is 5,50,000. Price of machine excluding taxes is 5,50,000. Packing charges 11,000. Design charges 2000. Dharmada 500. Discount 2% of the price of machine. Discount to 2% of the price of machine. Optional accessories 6,000. Optional accessories 6,000. Optional means what? If you want, you take. If you don't want, you don't take. Only when it is sold compulsorily, we should include. Let's do the answer. Write down. Price of the machine. Price of the machine. Right side you put 5,50,000. Packing charges 11,000. Design charges 2,000. Dharmada 500. Sum it up, total you put 563,500. 563,500. Less discount 2% off. Less discount to 2% off 5,50,000. That is coming to how much? 11,000. Accessible value. 550 to 500. 550 to 500. Excise duty. 12.36% off. 550 to 500. Okay, now on the next topic. In the handout there are very good questions on excise duty. We will do it. Let's quickly finish the theory. Now next topic is price cum duty. This is a topic which has been picked up from service tax, same concept. We learned that in service tax law there are chances that the service provider is saying that I did not charge service tax, I forgot. Or my client said don't take service tax, so I didn't take. Or I have charged the service tax but that fellow didn't bother to pay. Like that we have learned, when your client doesn't pay or you don't charge, what did we learn in service tax? Whatever you have charged is inclusive of service tax, remove it from your pocket and give it to the government. Same thing here. The manufacturer is saying that he has not charged or he has less charged. So situation 1, no duty is charged. Situation 2, less duty is charged. The duty is 12%, but you are not aware you charged 8%. Or third one, there is non-monetary consideration. Non-monetary consideration. Okay, quickly copy this down. We are talking about a topic called price cum duty. Under price cum duty, 3 situations we've written. No duty is charged or less duty is charged. And there is some kind of non-monetary consideration. Then in these cases, what to do? Please write down. Write down duty payable. Duty payable is equal to price cum duty into R by 100 plus R. In service tax law, what was the language? Gross amount charged into R by 100 plus R. But here we are using price cum duty as language. What is that? Write down. Price cum duty is equal to, write down. Price cum duty is equal to, price cum duty is equal to price paid plus money value of additional consideration minus sales tax and other taxes. Sales tax and other taxes. This is very important. Why we are subtracting sales tax and other taxes? We have charged 10,000 rupees from our customer. Assume excise duty we did not charge. But we know that once a product is manufactured, it attracts excise duty, and when it is sold, it attracts VAT also. So if you are taking a final amount of 10,000, this 10,000 is inclusive of excise as well as inclusive of VAT. So if you simply say into 12.36 by 112.36, it will be wrong. This will not give you excise duty amount, because what is wrong with 10,000? 10,000 includes the sales tax also, VAT also. So you have to eliminate VAT component and then calculate. Problem will tell you what is the VAT amount. Okay, so try to understand that. So simple it is. Whenever the manufacturer says I did not charge duty or I have charged less duty, you tell him whatever you charged is inclusive, therefore remit it to the government. How to calculate? Do backward calculation into R by 100 plus R. But remember that whatever you charge includes other taxes also. So remove that and then go for excise calculation. Do one example quickly. Example. Excisable goods are sold for rupees 200. Are sold for rupees 200. The seller has charged 8% instead of 12%. Assume sales tax is nil. Assume sales tax is nil. What happened in this problem? Instead of charging 12%, we have charged only 8%. And the final amount charged by us is 200 rupees. Calculate excise duty right now. Excise duty is equal to 200 into 12.36 into 12.36 divided by 112.36. 22. Okay, so now is entire 22 going from our pocket? No, we took 8%. So some amount is there, excess we have to pay. Another example. B sells goods at 200 per unit, at 12% excise duty, 200 per unit, inclusive of 12% excise duty, right? Inclusive of 12% excise duty. he has separately collected 50 rupees per piece. Later on he is taking some 50 it seems. 50 rupees per piece. Assume sales tax is nil. Right now, price cum duty is equal to 200 plus 50, right? 200 plus 50. What is that 50? Later on we are taking some consideration that 50 it is. Excise duty is equal to 250 into 12.36 divided by 112.36. 28. Okay? Yeah. So now tell me what are the topics that we learned today in today's class? Quickly revise. We started with scrap, then we did classification, then we did valuation. What are the first three types of valuation? Specific duty, compounded levy scheme, capacity based. Then we said based on value, either tariff value or MRP or transaction value. Transaction value, you have to include so many things. Be careful. We'll do some more practice problems and understand that. Okay, then we learned another topic, price cum duty. Whenever no duty or less duty or some other consideration is there, apply this concept. Add and do backward calculation. Okay, now we are learning briefly. We are not going to write notes, but we will learn procedural aspects. See, yesterday for customs law, I told you at the end of the handout, you have some import procedures, export procedures, which I had already discussed for you. So you have to go home and read. In service tax and VAT, you have learned many procedures. What do you mean by procedures? Like registration. Next one is what about payment? How to pay excise duty, when to pay. Then what about filing the returns? Then what about how to raise invoice? What kind of invoice should be raised? How it should be raised? That kind of topic I am talking about. Okay, invoice, etc. So what is the law telling? What do you think about registration the law will tell? Point number 1, every manufacturer should get registered. How do you do manufacturing? Look at this. I have a client, I keep telling you, Uvios Pharmaceutical Company. Okay, the MD of this company has done his M Pharmacy. He's got very huge experience in drugs, chemicals and all. He sat and he came up with a formulation for some drugs. But this person is not having patience to set up his own factory. He's got a drug, he got it registered in the name of his company, the formula he holds. But he doesn't have patience to do the manufacturing. So he will go to a job worker, he will ask another company which has got a huge factory, then this person will give that formula to him and he will say, every month please manufacture 100 units of so and so medicine and give it to me. Now tell me, who is the manufacturer? This fellow is holding, Uvios is holding the patent, the brand, but they don't do any activity, they don't have a factory. Some other company is doing the manufacturing and giving it to them. The patent is in their name, they do the manufacturing for them. Okay. The law is telling that job worker is a manufacturer. that company which is doing the manufacturing has to collect excise duty, and this company which is buying that manufactured good, they have to pay excise duty. That job worker is a manufacturer, because concept of manufacturer is actual manufacturer, who's holding the factory, who's doing the process of manufacturing, that is important. But this, they have added some more points. They are saying the relationship. So we will say, we will take the example like this. X Limited is holding the brand name and the patent and trademarks and all, whereas Y Limited is the job worker. Then we are asking, who is the manufacturer for the sake of excise duty? Okay, then the law is asking us one question. What is the relationship between these two people? If it is principal to principal, that means independent. Here, this company did not give any raw material. They simply gave the formula and said, make it for us. And this company is independent. They can refuse, they can accept, whenever they want they will make, whatever price they want they will charge for making it. So independent relationship is there, principal to principal. Then in that case, manufacturer is Y Limited. Alternatively, the relationship between these two is principal and agent. Okay, then in that case, the manufacturer is X Limited. When can it be principal and agent? Take the case of, see, those who make this big companies which are making papad, pickle and all. They hold the brand, but they are not making papad in their factory. What do? They go to 100 families in the rural areas and they'll say, each lady at home, please make some 100 papad and give, or please make the pickle for us and give. The brand is Priya, but someone else is making. What is the relationship in that case? When that lady is making, will you say principal to principal, she is independent, she can do whatever she wants? No, this fellow, the brand owner, is dictating the term. Then what is the relationship? Principal to agent. When the relationship is principal to agent, who is the manufacturer? The brand owner is the manufacturer. Okay? So remember those points. Now let us summarize. What did I say? Okay, I'll repeat. I said, if there are chances that sometimes you outsource the manufacturing, somebody else is doing the manufacturing for you. So who's the manufacturer? The job worker is the manufacturer. But in this, please check the relationship between them. If it is principal to principal, whoever is owning the factory, job worker has got the factory, he is the manufacturer. No, the relationship is principal and agent. Then the brand owner is the manufacturer. Okay, so every manufacturer should get registered. Immediately you will coordinate with VAT. In VAT we have learned only when the turnover is more than 5 lakhs you should get registered. In service tax we have learned only when it is more than 10 lakhs you should get registered. Even here, under excise law, there is an exemption called small scale exemption. SSI unit is eligible for exemption and the size of exemption is 150 lakhs. So if your turnover is 150 lakhs, then there is no excise duty for you, 150 lakhs. In service tax it was how much? Only 10 lakhs. So we are saying like this, SSI unit is exempt from registration, However, if their turnover is touching 90 lakhs, they should give a declaration. In service tax law, what did we say? For a small service provider, if your turnover has crossed 9 lakhs, that means anytime it can touch 10. So we ask that fellow to get registered and be ready. Here we are not saying get registered and be ready. We are saying give a declaration and be ready. So every manufacturer should get registered. However, SSI unit is eligible for exemption up to how much? 150 lakhs of turnover. But to be on a safer side, we are saying if your turnover is touching 90 lakhs, you please give a declaration. Okay. This is about your registration. On registration, what kind of registration number you get? on registration, what is the RC number that you get?
Yes.
Okay, they give you a 15-digit alphanumeric code. Where did we listen to this? In service tax also we said it is a 15-digit STC number. First 10 digits was PAN and next 5 was something else, ST and then numeric code. Yeah, in VAT what did we say? 10 digits or 11, yeah, in VAT it was 11 digits till number. Now what do we say? In excise law it is a 15-digit alphanumeric code. Okay, coming to the next one, what about payment? Payment under excise law is monthly payment. Monthly payment, and the due date is 5th or 6th of the next month. Quickly tell me, service tax, what was the time limit for paying? Who is the service provider? If he is an individual or partnership firm, then service tax is quarterly remittance. For companies and others, it is monthly remittance. Here we are not asking who are you manufacturer, are you individual or company, we are not saying. We are saying in general, excise duty remittance will happen monthly and the due date is 5th of next month. But what if e-payment is mandatory for them? Yeah, if e-payment is mandatory, this date will become 6th of next month. And we also know what about the month of March? In service tax we have learned that for the month of March you should pay by 31st March itself. Even here it is 31st March. I will repeat, what is the general rule? You should make monthly payment. There is no quarterly payment as of now. Second point, when to pay? By 5th of next month. However, for the month of March, when to pay? By 31st March itself. Okay. When is e-payment mandatory? Yeah, for the sake of e-payment, we don't look at turnover, we look at service tax remittance. In service tax law, we say e-payment is mandatory if service tax paid by you is more than 10 lakhs. Same thing they have copied here. For excise law also they are saying if excise duty paid by you is more than 10 lakhs, then e-payment is mandatory. Okay. Now to this, SSI concept will add. There is a small scale manufacturer, but he did not go for exemption. He is not interested in exemption. He wants to comply with excise law. Then for SSI unit, this is general. The next one is for SSI units who want to pay excise duty, then payment is quarterly basis. Okay, so in excise law, we are saying general SSEs pay by monthly concept. Whereas SSI unit who did not go for exemption, law is telling please take exemption, but they are not taking exemption. For such people we are saying quarterly remittance. Okay, coming to the returns. We have ER1, ER3, ER4. ER1 is for all SSEs. All SSEs. ER3 is for SSI units and ER4 is for all. ER1 is monthly. This is quarterly and this is annually. And the time limit to is by 10th. This is by 30 November next year. Okay, first, in order to understand excise returns, we should first recollect in service tax law what kind of return we were talking about. What was form number ST1? Application for registration. What was form number ST2? RC. What was form number ST3? Half yearly return under service tax. What was ST3A? My students are also not answering. We don't know everything in the class. What is ST3A? Provisional Assessment Reconciliation. So if you remember, in service tax we were only talking about half yearly return. But under excise law, we are talking about two types of returns. So basically manufacturers, we are saying general and SSI unit, small scale industry unit. For a general SSC, we are saying you have to submit ER1 and ER4. For SSI unit, we are saying submit ER3 and ER4. Okay. So what is this? The law is telling that in order to make the payment, every month you have to submit ER1, excise return 1. Because in order to pay, you have to disclose your turnover, your output tax, your input tax, send back claim by you, all that you put monthly and give us ER1. No, you're a small manufacturer and you have not taken exemption. You got involved in excise. For such people, we are saying, okay, we will not trouble you monthly, we will trouble you quarterly. Payment also you do quarterly, return also you submit quarterly. General SSCs, they will give ER1 monthly, whereas SSI units will give ER3 quarterly. Fine. This small return will talk about the summary of your turnover, your SENMAT credit, etc. Along with this, they want a consolidated financial return for full year, and that is your ER4. So both of you have to submit ER4, which is a consolidated return talking about your finances for entire year. And for this, what time they have given? By 30 November next year. March your year is ending. After that, they are giving you 8 months time to prepare your ER4 because it's a bulky return. In service tax law, when do you submit half yearly return? By 25th of the half year. Once the half year gets over, by 25th you submit. Here what are they saying? Monthly return you submit by 10th of next month. Payment, what did they say? By 5th of next month you pay. Once payment is over, 5 days time you take, sit and prepare a return. By 10th you give the return. If your SSI unit, you take, the full quarter is over, 10th of the next month you give. Annual return 30 November you submit. So this is a C category topic. You may not get a question from all this, but remember briefly. So we finished learning registration, payment, return. Invoice also, it's a very simple topic. Whatever you learned in service tax law, invoice should be raised, it should be serially numbered, it should be pre-printed, it should be dated and signed, it should have all the specific details, description, all that. Same story is there, you have to read it once. Now quickly come to your handout. We will do the questions and close exercise. Seventh question. Excise duty payable on cane molasses, it's a byproduct in case of sugarcane, is 1000 per ton. Excise duty is 1000 per ton. What does this mean? The law has fixed a specific duty based on volume, quantity. Excise duty on cane sugar is 12%. A manufacturer cleared 100 tons of cane molasses from his factory. Okay, he sold the cane molasses at 15,000 per ton. Calculate excise duty. See, the first word is important. Excise duty payable on cane molasses is 1,000 per ton. So write the answer. It is a case of specific duty. It is is a case of specific duty. The rate at which goods are actually sold, the rate at which goods are actually sold is irrelevant. Your selling price is not important. Is irrelevant. Excise duty is 1000 per ton into 100 tons. 100 tons. Over. 8th question. GHI company is a manufacturer. It intends to pay ad valorem excise duty on the basis of assessable value computed under section 4. That means they want to go for transaction value. However, excise department insists that the company should pay duty under compounded levy scheme. Okay, as a product manufactured by it is covered under that scheme. You are required to examine the situation. Compounded levy scheme is optional, your choice. But capacity based for pan masala and all is mandatory. Whether you want or you don't want, you have to follow that. So right there, compounded levy scheme is optional. Company can pay duty. Company can pay duty on value as per section 4, that is transaction value, as per section 4. They are asking one more question. Will your answer be different if the product is notified under capacity based? Right there, it is mandatory. It is mandatory. Capacity based is mandatory. Whether you want or you don't want, you have to follow. Okay, 9th question. Decent Footwear is a leading manufacturer of shoes. Under LMA Act requires declaration of RSP on the package of shoes, and shoes are notified under section 4A. Once the 4A comes, immediately two things you should ask. What is the MRP? What is the abatement? So see, abatement on the shoes is 40%, MRP on the package is 2000. We are not interested in any other information. Chalo, write down. 9th question. Put the per shoe we are calculating. MRP 2000 less abatement 40%. It's given in the question. Less abatement 40%. That is 800. Subtract 800. Value is 1200. Value is 1200. Excise duty is equal to 12.36% of 1200. 12.36% of 1200. How much is that? 148. So see, 4 mark questions. If you know the concept, you can do. 10th question. Zebra engineers are manufacturing articles. Such articles are sold through retail shop. Before we read further, last line is important. Calculate excise duty. Such articles are not covered under section 4A. When they are not covered under 4A, what do we want? Section 4. What is section 4? Transaction value. Now we will read. See now. MRP, ignore. Price at which Zebra engineer sells articles to their wholesaler. This is the stage where excise duty is going to come. Because see, excise duty will not be charged by wholesalers, retailers. It will be charged by the manufacturer. So this price is important. We will put a right mark for 1300. Then what all they give? Price at which wholesalers are selling, ignore. Price at which articles are sold by retailers, ignore. Excise duty rate they have given 12% and education says. Simple question, write down answer. Section 4. Section 4. Transaction value. 1300 into 12.36%. 12.36%. How much is that coming to? 161. 161 something. 160, 161. Go to 11th question now. Permission you have to write. Okay, 11th question. A manufacturer of machine sold a special machine. Following are the details. Price of machine excluding taxes and duties. Okay, this is the price. Installation charges. Machine is fixed to the earth. That means huge work. It will be subject to service tax. Put into mark. Don't take. Take it for service tax, not for excise. Packing, yes. Design, yes. Outward freight beyond the place of removal. Once removed, they have charged. You can't take it. Ignore. Other information, cash discount. You have to remove discount, yes. And then VAT rate is given, excise rate is given, calculate excise duty. Simple question, let's do it. Put the heading computation of excise duty. Please revise these questions one day before your exam. Similar questions are going to come in the exam. They're all from ICI, these questions. Okay, don't waste your time on any further books. Nobody is going to test you in detail. First attempt for the revised syllabus. So the question paper for indirect taxes will be quite simple. All you have to do is read every basic concept and go for the exam. If you do selective study, I'm not liking excise, I'll leave it, then gone. Read basics and go. Okay? Chalo, right to do it. Price of the machine. Price of the machine. Right side put the amount, how much? 6 lakhs. Price of the machine, 6 lakhs. Add packing charges. Add packing charges, 9,000. 9,000. Add the design. Design, 20,000. Sum up, 6 lakhs 29,000. 6 lakhs 29,000. Less cash discount. Less cash discount. 2% of 6 lakhs on the price of machine. Be careful. It's not 2% of 6 lakh 29,000. It is 2% of 6 lakhs. Okay, 12,000 you subtract. Assessable value. Assessable value. How much? 6 lakhs 17,000. 6 lakhs 17,000. Excise duty. After excise, VAT will come. Right now, add excise duty. 12.36% of above. 12.36% of above. That is coming to 76,261. Now you say VAT 5% of above. VAT says take excise also. But excise is not telling take VAT also. Okay, thank God. Otherwise, you will have to do simultaneous equation and solve. Now say add VAT on the above figure. Which figure? After adding excise duty, how much is the value? Yeah, 6 lakhs 93,261. On this you have to put VAT. 6 lakhs 93,261. On this you put 5% VAT. 34,663. VAT is 34,663. VAT will come at the end. Sale. Sale is happening now. What did we learn in this problem? Installation charges, because they are substantial, we are not taking it. And outward freight, we are not taking it, because excise law is telling only freight up to depot can be taken, not afterwards. 12th question. duty payable on the basis of following information. Invoice price 40,000. Now be careful. See, they are giving us which price? Invoice price. Which what? The last one. In the above problem, they gave selling price and we went on adding. Now they are giving us the final invoice value. That means we should do backward calculation, removal. State VAT. We should remove insurance charges for dispatch of final product. We learned in excise law there is no excise duty on freight and insurance. Remove insurance. Packing charges, let it be there. Freight charge from factory to the place of customer, remove. Excise duty is 12%. So they gave us invoice price and they're giving other items. So put the heading.
Computation.
Yeah. Computation of excise duty. Computation of excise duty. Concentrate while writing. This is a situation where we will arrive at price cum duty put into R by 100 plus R. That's the approach we have to follow. Write down invoice price. Invoice price. The final figure they gave us. 40,000 less VAT. In this VAT is there. Remove it off. VAT 4,000. Insurance. There's no excise on insurance. Remove it off. Insurance. How much? 200. Freight. 2,000. On this there can't be any excise duty. Remove it off. The result is called price cum duty. Price cum duty. Next line. Excise duty is equal to. Excise duty is equal to 33,800 into 12.36 divided by 112.36. 112.36. How much? 3718. 3718. What did we learn in this problem? Sometimes they will give you reverse way. Previous problem was easy one, selling price, and this is invoice price, go with deduction approach. And into R by 100 plus R is important. If it is selling price, it is into R by 100. Here it is 100 plus R. 13th question. A manufacturer cleared some goods by charging excise duty. The invoice provided the following details. Price is 10,000, excise duty is so much. However, he came to know later that actual rate of excise is 12.36. How much differential duty is payable by him if he is not able to recover from customers? Even if he can't recover, whatever he charged is inclusive, he has to pay from his pocket. So write down what case is this? Price cum duty case. 13th question. 13th question. Write down. Excise duty. Excise duty. First of all, let's calculate the correct duty. 11,030. 11,030 into 12.36 divided by 112.36. I repeat, 11,030 into 12.36 divided by 112.36. So that is coming to 1213. 1213. Less excise duty already recovered or already paid. Less excise duty already paid. The customer paid some amount. 1030. Subtract 183. Differential excise duty. Differential excise duty. 183. Who's going to pay? The manufacturer. From his pocket he has to pay. Okay, now one last one is, this question is on SSI exemption. So I'll just tell you what is this. Just 5 minutes and excise law will get over. But we need minimum 3 hours to finish the CST. But after finishing CST, we have Senmat credit rules which needs 1 hour. Mega exemption, we need 1 more hour. What to do now? Today, we can't stay back till 9, right? Is it possible? What can be done? First, let's finish exercise. Break is after this year. Wait, let us finish this. Okay, what are we discussing? SSI exemption. Before we go to this, tell me service tax, small service provider exemption story. What did we say? A small service provider is eligible for 10 lakh rupees exemption. What condition is to be satisfied? In the preceding financial year, his turnover should not have crossed 10 lakhs. Then in the current financial year, he will get an exemption of 10 lakhs. Now for excise, we are saying, in the current financial year, we will give exemption up to 150 lakhs. Okay, 150 lakhs. For this, the condition is preceding year turnover should be less than or equal to 400 lakhs. The number is changing. I'll tell you what is the approach here. See, concept is like this. To decide small or big, in service tax we said preceding year check 10, current year give exemption for 10. Concept is service tax. For giving exemption, check the limit 10 lakhs. Preceding year the turnover is 10, give him exemption for 10. In excise they are saying preceding year limit 400 lakhs. Up to 400 we will call that fellow as small. But when it comes to giving exemption, we can't give exemption entire 400. So we will give exemption for only 150. Like that they have changed. They are saying check last year's turnover. So if somebody's turnover is up to 400 lakhs, then in the current year he is eligible for SSI exemption of 150. Not entire 400 will not be exempt for him, only up to 150. So here there is a question, quickly read it. Net value of clearances of Gopal manufacturer was 345 lakhs in 12-13. During 13-14, their turnover is 365. Calculate excise duty. So you say it is eligible. Right now. Right answer. It is eligible for SSI exemption. It is eligible for SSI exemption as turnover in the preceding year is less than 400 lakhs. Turnover in the preceding year is less than 400 lakhs. So write down excise duty is equal to 360 minus 150. 360, no, how much? 365. In the current year it is 365. Okay, 365 minus 150. 365 minus 150 into 12.36. Into 12.36. Okay, now just come to your theory once. Excise law.
26.
covered. Then what are the different types of excise duty? We know basic excise duty, but we did not read this national calamity contingent duty. This is nothing but an additional duty which is levied on pan masala tobacco products. So you just have to give one small reading for this. Coming to the next page, we are talking about central excise law. It is applicable to whole of India including Jammu and Kashmir. Customs also, we said the same thing. But service tax law, because it was a new law, the state of Jammu and Kashmir did not give concurrence for it. So therefore service taxes on the whole of India except Jammu and Kashmir. But excise and customs are old laws, therefore Jammu and Kashmir is also included. And water and all you have to talk. Taxable event, we said removal. Then we are talking about charge. Section 3, we already learned. Goods, excisable, manufactured, no SEZ. Then what do you mean by goods? They are trying to help you understand the word marketability, movability. Excisable goods are nothing but those which are there in CETA. Then they are also helping you understand what is manufacture. I told you it should result in some product or it should be a deemed to manufacture specified in CETA. Okay, now the others are only some conclusions like whether assembling is manufacture, that they are trying to explain. See, this question is quite interesting. All of you pay attention here. Keyboard, monitor, all this if you assemble, it will result in computer. Is it manufacture? You have to find out the activity of assembling is resulting in a new product. Keyboard alone can you use? No. Mouse alone, monitor alone can you use? No. So yes, Sushant. We'll have a break after 5 minutes. Okay. So these products alone you cannot use. You have to fix them together. And after fixing it, after assembling it, it is resulting in a new product which is called computer, which has a utility. Therefore, assembling is also manufacture. But somebody brought all tool related items, scissors, screwdriver, etc. Put them in a pouch and they say toolkit. Now will you say it's a product manufacture? No, earlier also you can use scissors, now also you can use scissors. But computer assembly has resulted in a new product. Try to understand the difference. Okay, so you have to check this concept of assembling. Then scrap we've already seen. Then see, next topic is about who's a manufacturer. I told you he is the one who's got a factory. How do you manufacture? The owner of the factory can himself do the manufacturing. He can hire labor, he can have staff. Or sometimes you can outsource it to someone else. Whoever is carrying out the actual manufacturing is the manufacturer. But in case of job work and brand concept, please check the relationship. Principal to principal, that fellow is the manufacturer. Principal to agent, you are the manufacturer. Okay, done. Then see, collection of duty. We said at the time of removal. Relevant date, we've already learned which date is important when there's change. Classification, 8-digit coding system similar to HSN, harmonized system of nomenclature. Variation, specific duty, compounded levy scheme, capacity based, tariff value, retail price, transaction value, what to include, what to exclude, price cum duty, SSI. And then the questions. Okay, so exercise is over. Quickly, yesterday we took a very big break. Today we can't afford to do it. We'll come back quickly. We'll try our best to come back quickly and do central sales tax.